When Captain Elena Cross told them the truth, nobody believed her. "I'm not just a cargo pilot." But when a downed F-16 pilot lay wounded 50 kilometers behind enemy lines and the rescue team was 6 hours away, she jumped into that beat-up helicopter and said, "Let me show you how to penetrate enemy airspace." Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan was bustling at 6 a.m. as usual. Captain Elena Cross, 34 years old with green eyes and dark brown hair tied in a military bun, was inspecting the front control panel of an old UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter. "Cross, what's today's route?" asked backup pilot Lieutenant Sarah Mitchell. Elena reviewed the flight plan. "Standard delivery, medical supplies, food and mail to forward operating base Delta. 2 hours out, 2 hours back." A boring day. Nobody knew that Elena Cross wasn't just a logistics pilot. Her file was accurate. 8 years of military pilot experience, flawless safety record, thousands of flight hours. But what wasn't in the file? Before starting her military career, Elena had competed in the Red Bull Air Race World Championship, won gold medals in aerobatic flying, and was one of the rare talents who could perform maneuvers that civilian pilots couldn't. 5 years ago, after losing sponsor support following a racing accident and her racing career ending, she joined the military. She hid her abilities because flashy aerobatic piloting didn't mesh with military discipline. Nobody would take her seriously. The delivery flight was going smoothly. As Elena expertly guided the helicopter over mountainous terrain, the radio suddenly crackled. "Mayday! Mayday! This is Viper 2-1. I'm down. Grid coordinates." Elena immediately switched frequencies. The downed aircraft was an F-16 Fighting Falcon, and the pilot was Major Jack Hawk Harrison, one of the base's most experienced combat pilots. "Viper 2-1, this is Cargo 7. Report your status," Elena responded professionally. "Cargo 7, left leg broken, shot in the shoulder. Taliban fighters closing in. Rescue team is 6 hours out." "I can't last that long," Elena calculated quickly. Harrison was 50 kilometers behind enemy lines. Standard rescue helicopters would take 6 hours. Apache gunships were nearby, but couldn't carry wounded pilots. "Mitchell, take the controls," Elena said decisively. "What are you doing?" Elena swung the helicopter in a sharp turn toward Harrison's coordinates. "I'm going to rescue him." "Cross, are you insane? You can't enter enemy airspace with this antique Black Hawk. No weapons, no armor, nothing." Elena switched communication frequencies to call base command. "Commander, this is Captain Cross, requesting permission to rescue Major Harrison." "Cross, you're a logistics pilot. Rescue operations aren't your job." "Wait, the professional team is en route." "Commander, in 6 hours Harrison will be dead. I can be there in 40 minutes. "Impossible, Cross. That area is protected by enemy SAM missiles and heavy weapons. It's a suicide mission." Elena took a deep breath. "Commander, I'm not just a logistics pilot." A long silence. "What do you mean?" "I mean you need to trust me. I'll bring Harrison back." As Elena sped the helicopter toward enemy territory, Mitchell stared at her in amazement. "Cross, are you really going to do this?" "Yes. And you're staying here. Take the delivery supplies to FOB Delta." "I can't leave you alone." Elena landed the helicopter behind a hill. "Mitchell, listen. I can do this, but you don't need to die. Go. Complete the mission." Mitchell reluctantly left the helicopter. When Elena was alone in the seat, she closed her eyes and remembered her racing days. The stomach-churning loops, deadly barrel rolls, passing through angles competitors couldn't see. "Okay, Hawk, I'm coming, but it's going to be like a fireworks show." Elena pushed the helicopter at full speed toward enemy territory. When radar systems detected her, the first SAM missile launched. A normal pilot would lose altitude to evade the missile. Elena did the opposite. She climbed the helicopter almost vertically. The missile passed underneath and crashed into the rocks behind. What the hell? What kind of maneuver was that? Harrison shouted over the radio. Hawk, don't move. I'll be there in 10 minutes. When the second missile came, Elena rolled the helicopter in a barrel roll, a move a fighter jet would make, something a helicopter shouldn't do. But Elena's hands provided such precise control that the Black Hawk moved like an F-16. Approaching enemy terrain, Taliban fighters opened fire with heavy machine guns. Elena flew the helicopter through mountain ridges, almost close enough for the rotors to hit the rocks, at angles the bullets couldn't reach. When she reached Harrison's position, the situation was disastrous. At least 30 Taliban fighters had surrounded the downed pilot. Hawk, can you run? My leg's broken, Cross. I can't even take a step. Elena descended the helicopter but knew she couldn't land. Too much enemy fire. She needed another plan. Hawk, listen carefully. I'm going to land for 15 seconds to pick you up. Be ready. Elena suddenly put the helicopter into a dive. The enemy thought it was a suicide plunge, but Elena pulled a sharp flare at the last second, the helicopter hovering 2 meters above ground. Harrison crawled and jumped into the helicopter. Elena pushed the throttle to maximum, but just then an RPG round hit the helicopter's tail section. Tail rotor damaged. We're spinning. Elena frantically tried to balance the controls. The Black Hawk, with its damaged tail rotor, started spinning out of control. A normal pilot would crash. But Elena maintained control even in this condition. Instead of trying to fly straight, she used the spin, constantly rotating but moving forward, following a spiral route, a technique she knew from aerobatic competitions. Cross, what are you doing? We're going down. No, Hawk, we're flying. Just a bit unconventional. The helicopter flew 40 kilometers spinning, swaying, looking like it was about to crash. Elena maintained control every second, using all her career experience. Enemy SAM missiles kept coming, but Elena's crazy flight pattern confused the missile systems. They couldn't lock on. With 10 kilometers to the base, the engine failed. Now they had no luxury of planning. Hawk, hold on. Elena put the helicopter into auto-rotation mode, descending slowly by rotating with the wind without engines. But the damaged tail rotor made everything harder. At 100 meters from the ground, the helicopter started spinning uncontrollably. Elena made one last move, using the rotors to flip the helicopter, intentionally upside down. While the helicopter was inverted, she used the momentum. Then at the last second righted it and made a hard but controlled landing. The impact was so severe, Elena clenched her teeth. But they were alive. How did you do that? Harrison couldn't believe it. Elena rested her head inside the helicopter, breathing heavily. I told you. I'm not just a logistics pilot. When Base Commander Colonel Morrison called Elena to his office, his face was furious. Cross, you disobeyed orders, conducted an unauthorized rescue operation, and destroyed a $10 million helicopter. Elena stood at attention. Yes, sir, but Major Harrison is alive. Morrison slammed a file on the desk. Do you think I'm stupid, Cross? I looked into your background. Red Bull Air Race Champion, world record holder in aerobatics. And you've been playing the role of an ordinary logistics pilot here. Sir, my background is irrelevant to my military career. Irrelevant, Morrison laughed. Cross, with those crazy maneuvers, you evaded 5 enemy missiles, flew 40 kilometers with a damaged helicopter, and landed upside down. That's not an ordinary pilot. That's a mad genius. Elena remained silent. Morrison leaned back in his chair. Cross, why did you hide your abilities? Elena shrugged. Because I thought flashy piloting didn't fit with military discipline. Nobody would take me seriously. Take you seriously? Morrison pulled out photos from the file. Major Harrison is alive instead of dead because of your flashy piloting. Cross, you're the most talented pilot military aviation has ever seen. A week later, Elena found herself in a special briefing room at the Pentagon. Captain Cross, said General Patricia Hayes, today we're going to make you a special offer. On the table was a black folder, Project Valkyrie Classified. What is this, sir? Cross, we're forming a new team to conduct the military's most dangerous rescue operations. Pilots, special forces, spies trapped deep behind enemy lines. Impossible missions. Elena, open the folder. Specially modified helicopters, latest technology, best team. And we want to make you the commander of this team. Elena couldn't believe it. I'm just a logistics pilot. General Hayes smiled. No, Cross. You've never been just anything. You're a rescuer, someone who finds ways to save lives. 2 years later, Project Valkyrie had successfully completed 47 rescue operations. Elena Cross was now a major, and her team operated in the world's most dangerous regions. One day, a young logistics pilot asked her, "Major, how did you become such a good pilot?" Elena looked at the sky, remembering that crazy rescue day. I'm not saying hide your talents, but learn to use them at the right time for the right reason. For me, that moment was to save a man's life. That day, the woman who appeared to the world as an ordinary logistics pilot had accomplished the most impossible rescue operation. And now everyone knew Elena Cross had never been just a pilot. Sometimes the greatest heroes come from places nobody expects. And sometimes to save lives, you need to dance in the sky instead of flying by the rules.